This is a spotlight where we examine the invasion, where we discuss the occupation, where we give voice to the conquered. Blue&Black Attack presents INVADERS Spotlight.
INVADERS Spotlight is back. I am your host for tonight, D-Zil Skills. I am joined by two fantastic members of the Blue&Black Attack, Jake the Snake, and our salty superstar, Panther Pickle. We just got breaking news here in Panther Nation. John Metchie III is now a Carolina Panther. He played with Bryce Young at Alabama, and those guys had a great chemistry. And can they rekindle that chemistry this season? We're going to find out here tonight in this video as we talk about the return of John Metchie to Carolina with Bryce Young, the reunification of those two guys, and how much it means to these Carolina Panthers. Jake the Snake, I'm going to let you get in here first. How you feeling about John Metchie and these Carolina Panthers now?
Oh, I'm feeling great about this signing. I mean, this is Bryce Young's OG friend since, college, and they had an unbelievable season in 2021. That combination, the connection they had at Alabama was phenomenal. I mean, I know a lot of people saying since John Metchie got drafted, he might not have lived up to the expectations, but hey, he's got his quarterback. He's got his OG quarterback that he had an unbelievable season with at Alabama. It can only benefit us. I mean, we need a speed guy, a guy that can go more vertical. I mean, we really got the same type of body receivers on our roster, except maybe Jimmy Horn, but can only benefit us. I mean, the dude, like I said, he's a vertical wide receiver. He's got some speed. He's even a red zone threat if you go back and just watch his college film with Bryce Young. I'm unbelievable ecstatic about this signing. It can only benefit us right now.
Panther Pickle, are you feeling the same way? Do you feel like it's only a benefit that we got John Metchie? Are there also some bad things out there going on with this Carolina Panthers, namely the offensive line?
I like Metchie. I'll be a lot of people know I'm not one to scream we need to go get a wide receiver. Everybody knows that. I'm one of the guys that screamed and yelled in a side-up mode when we drafted a wide receiver in the first round last year, and then I quickly changed my mind. But I know the damage that a good Bryce and a good John Metchie can do. Because I watched my Tennessee Volunteers get humiliated in 2021 by Alabama when they had John Metchie and Bryce Young. I watched my team get humiliated 50-some to 20-some. But, so as soon as I heard the news that he actually was being signed by the Panthers, my first thought was, Bryce, you made a phone call. I'm all right with it. Of the offensive line, yes. I still think we need to add a little bit to the offensive line because I'm not certain that Ike's going to come back this season. If I knew he was coming back in the first month or the first 2 months or something, you could kind of adapt to that. But I don't know that. And I don't trust the left tackle they drafted. Or they signed in free agency.
Jake, one interesting thing that me and you brought up earlier was, do you think that Metchie beats out XL? What is XL's future with the Carolina Panthers now that John Metchie has joined this team? Does it change his position or his dynamic to the Panthers offense?
I mean, what has Dan Morgan and Dave Canales been saying forever now? They want competition at every position, right? That's the main factor. So I do think John Metchie III is going to be competition somewhere in that wide receiver room. I don't know if it's wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, but he's going to push somebody in that room. I mean, this guy, like we said earlier, he has a great connection with Bryce Young already, and I can only imagine that it's going to benefit even more now. So, I mean, the dude's hungry. I mean, this is his third team, and I know a lot of people get kind of, up to about saying, oh, well, this is his third team. He ain't nobody. You don't know that yet. I mean, any of these guys can come in and just be lightning in a bottle, so to speak. But I do think he is going to give XL, even, Jimmy Horn, run him up for money. Does he beat him out? We can only wait and see. But, I mean, I'm still ecstatic for his signing. I know Bryce Young loves his signing because, he called up Dan Morgan and asked about him.
Yeah, I'm glad you finished up with that because, to me, that was the most obvious thing about this. You got a guy in Teteroa McMillan that Bryce Young basically handpicked for us to draft in the top 10 last year. And now we bring in John Metchie during the offseason. It's got Bryce Young's fingerprints all over it. Because fans of the Carolina Panthers have been screaming for this guy, for the Panthers to go get this guy for years. And now we were able to get him on just a one-year contract, Pickle. Is there any kind of downside to giving this guy a shot? Because I'm not seeing it, but I'm seeing other fans saying there is a downside. What do you see?
Well, I tell you a downside I see. And it's not necessarily giving him an opportunity. The downside is with his connection to Bryce, he's only on a one-year deal. What happens if he explodes? What happens if he falls out? What happens if they reinvent that atmosphere they had? I mean, like I said, I watched the October the 23rd, 2021 game. And Bryce Young and Metchie destroyed my balls, who, by the way, happened to have a Hendon Hooker and a Valdez Jones. Both of them were with the Panthers once. But they destroyed my balls. What happens if Metchie explodes on the scene, puts up yards? Next year, we've already got cap issues trying to keep everybody under cap. And Metchie explodes on a one-year deal? Let's ask the question. Who do you choose? If Metchie explodes, what happens if you ain't made go for that contract yet? A lot of people are talking about it online, let's be fair. Does Metchie have an opportunity to take Xavier Legette's position?
Jake, I'm going to let you respond.
I mean, I believe he's going to have the opportunity to do it. But, yeah, I get what Pickle. You can't sign everybody, unfortunately. That's just, it's not possible in the NFL. I mean, you want every best player available that you can possibly have. You just, unfortunately, can't afford all of them. But I would hope that they get the Coker deal done soon. I think that's the plan here in the next few weeks, possibly, that they get that deal done. But if John Metchie does explode, I would hope this team figures out a way to keep him, because, I mean, I know it can only benefit Bryce Young. And I think that's what we have to do right now, because we say every year, the last 2 years especially, that this is a very important year for Bryce Young. Well, this is the most important year for Bryce Young. And I do believe that if him and John Metchie have an unbelievable season, you got to keep that connection, man. You just got to benefit Bryce Young, John Metchie, and his team in general. You got to just keep them.
Jake, Dave, let me ask you something real quick. Bryce called Dan and Dave up one other time, didn't he, and say, "Get this receiver. I like this receiver." That worked out pretty good that last time, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Well, Bryce don't seem to be wrong when he says, "I want this receiver."
Yeah, and I like the faith of this front office to back up their quarterback, to actually stand behind him. How disjointed were we for years, where the front office wasn't behind the coach, and the coach wasn't behind the quarterback, and so on and so on. We didn't have that unity that we have now. We didn't have that coherency that we have now. These guys are moving together as a group, and the moves that we're making are making a lot of sense. At least in the wide receiver room, we already saw where Coker was starting to overtake XL and snaps because the production was there. You look at that playoff game against the Rams, Coker completely exploded for one of the best games of his career, and certainly the MVP of that particular game. What a way to step up in the spotlight. When the lights were the brightest, when everything was on the line, Coker was there for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. And we saw the same thing from Metchie at Alabama. When the lights were bright and Bryce needed a big play, that's who we looked for. It was Metchie downfield. And just because he hasn't had success so far in the NFL doesn't mean that he can't find success this year with Bryce Young. This might be the coming together of those two guys that they've both been waiting on, to be honest. And like Jacob was saying, it is an important year for Bryce Young. And adding someone like Metchie that he's familiar with, that he trusts in, that he believes in. I mean, it's like, how many times do we see the tight end open and Bryce not throw the ball to him? Well, maybe he doesn't believe in that guy. Maybe he doesn't trust that guy. How many times do we see XL open and Bryce doesn't throw the ball to him? Well, maybe because that might be a drop, or he doesn't trust that guy, or he doesn't believe in that guy. Or that guy hasn't made enough plays to make Bryce believe in him as a wide receiver. But Metchie has. At least they have that history together and the things that they've done before at Alabama to come in here for Carolina, and we're only looking him to be the third or fourth wide receiver. It's not like he's going to be a 1 or 2 out there. I think Coker's got the number 2 locked down from what we saw last season. So it's not a big disruption, and I think if he does have a good year, he could get a decent contract. I don't think it'd be a crazy contract. I don't even think Coker would get a crazy contract. I think our coaching staff believes they can develop Metchie into an NFL wide receiver. We have the most experience in our coaching staff with guys who have been wide receiver coaches. We have 3 or 4 of them on the staff now. I think they believe that they can turn his NFL career around, and I want you guys to tell me how much it would mean to the Panthers and your expectation this season if we do turn around John Metchie's career. All right, Pickle, let's get you in here, and then we'll let Jake go.
Okay, yeah, my expectations is he'll start out probably as competing with David Moore, and the more he gets involved in the system and he gets his passes and his catches, I can see him elevating past Moore, maybe even push a little bit playing time. Xavier Legette, we mentioned, he's got to be on his best. He can't be dropping these passes. They got too much depth. You know, as soon as Bryce starts going with Metchie instead of Excel, you know, they may make a small turn in the game and end up being a permanent, you know. He very easily can ride up the rankings quickly if he catches the ball and shows what he showed in college, shows what the rapport him and Bryce have versus, Xavier Legette versus Moore. He could rise up the depth chart quickly. And it'll be a great thing to have. It'll be a great problem to have at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely want him to push more. I was excited about getting more back this year. I thought maybe we had moved on from that. Maybe they believed in a Bryson Tremaine or something like that. But apparently that wasn't the case whatsoever. And I think that, you know, Metchie being here is somebody who's really going to step on Bryson Tremaine's playing time. Within the offense, I saw Bryson Tremaine run a bunch of go routes last year, a bunch, and it wasn't to throw him the ball. It was just to give the defense somebody to go chase. And I think if Metchie's out there doing that, I think Bryce Young's looking for Metchie where he wasn't looking for Bryson Tremaine.
This is another episode of INVADERS Spotlight. Thank you for joining. Hit that like button, comment, and don't forget to share the video.
And then we'll kick the final segment over to our friend at the Brotherhood, D Money.
What's going on, family? This is D Money with the Blue&Black Attack. Decided to drop in on this INVADERS Spotlight that is ran with that great producer of all of them, Diesel Skills, and my brother Jake the Snake. Now, there's so much that has happened in just the last 72 hours when it comes to these Carolina Panthers. And yes, I'm talking about free agency. Now, some things that I felt it just brought a tear to my eye was watching Phillips actually wanting to be part of this organization. And Devin Lloyd, where everybody in this fan base had him in their cart for their wish list, just hoping that he was going to choose the 704. Now, in that, we got Kenny Pickett, and people have mixed emotions. We picked up some offensive linemen, not the higher tier of offensive linemen, so the birdie could be out. Maybe that great offensive line guru that we got over there can find their strengths and they can contribute to this team. But then also today, when we think that Dan has done put up the hibachi and his plates and all that stuff, he goes out and get one of Bryce's college favorite weapons in John Metchie. When I tell you that when the culture starts to build and them bricks start to lay and we start hanging those things together, these are the things that we're talking about. My brother, the great producer Diesel Skills, has said so many times to some deaf ears that all we had to do was win some games. And if we started to win some games, the talent will follow. So now we have a culture. We already have dogs that have been through the fire and have seen success. And now we've added dudes that hopefully, and I'm praying deep down in my heart, take us to the very next level. Now I understand I don't come to you with the delusion, and I'm not trying to sell you dreams. Because just as we're getting better in this league, the rest of the league is trying to get better too. So there's still a lot of strategic work that Dan Brent Tillis, that front office, and that staff have to put in place. But for me, on this day right here is another monumental mark that you can circle on the calendar that was a pivotal moment in the success of our Carolina Panthers. And now, as we continue to go on, I would like to highlight Panther Pickle, who has kept his finger on the pulse of what was going on in free agency, not just in Charlotte, but all over the NFL. Cole with his great footage, D's, Jake. The blue and black attack has came to you, and they have hit on a lot of things that have came. Now, another podcast that I was just listening to, not gonna say no names, not starting no beef, because I got love over there. They're claiming that they pinpointed all this stuff and all these possible puppies that could come to us. They predicted it. They said it first, and I challenged that because Panther Pickle, Cole, Jake the Snake, these ill skills have been throwing out the same people just as long as, if not more. Now understand that we all on the same page, but we giving credit where credit is due. And where the credit is due, we are a part of one of the greatest content creation groups. Just like we are fans of one of the greatest teams ever assembled, or organizations assembled. And that's our Carolina Panthers. We have not seen this type of excitement in the 704 since our brother Cameron Newton was in the building, and Thomas Davis was in the building, and Luke Kuechly, and all those greats. And now I think we're getting the second generation of greatness in Carolina. So now as we go and they start to prepare, and these great scouts that Dan Morgan has picked up, and they start to look and see who is the puppy to come amongst these dogs to grow to be a dog, I can say on this day that I have nothing but faith in Dan. Hibachi Dan has cooked since the last preseason, and I'm very happy about what we have been able to do as an organization. So I know there's some people that they keep their doubts. They have issues with the other side of the ball, but today is not the day for us to have to even talk about that. Because one of the main things that I have seen with Hibachi Dan is that when we needed offensive line help, he blew the money, he spent the money, and brought us in some big boys in that offensive line. And then when it started with the framework of the defensive line, he tried to go get us big milk. It didn't work. And to be quite honest, it was probably for our best that we didn't get to sign the great Milton Williams to this team. And I'm fine, and I'm cool with that, because now we got a Devin Lloyd, we got Phillips, we got so many great guys coming in to go along with the Nick Scortons and the Derek Browns, and we're restructuring money, we're freeing up space, we're doing the right things to keep this team going in the right direction. And then when you look at it, you got teams like Seattle, they just lost their Super Bowl MVP. You have San Francisco trying to bring talent together and make it work. Atlanta, I don't know if that's a rebuild or what it is. I had one person tell me that the Saints are favored to come out the South. I asked for your analysis. Basically, the table is being set for us right now, for us to take a stranglehold of this division and start being considered a legitimate contender within the NFL. And hey, NFL script writers, we have been really good boys this year. We ain't attacked each other as much as we normally have. Can you keep us in the script? Can you write something good? Maybe something Oscar worthy, maybe something that like a Remember the Titans in the Disney movie, so at the ending when they're celebrating, somebody have a little small tear run down their eye. That's all I ask for, really. Let us have that moment. But on this day right here, I have to say, as a Carolina Panther fan, I cannot be more happy, I can't be more ecstatic, and I can't be more proud of the direction that we going. And if you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade.
Promise peace, but delivered chains. We opened our gates and trust. Now brothers and sisters lie in the dust.